you've heard about NCAT, but if you haven't, before you leave today, I'm going to show you how you can find out some more information about NCAT because it's something that you'll want to know about after today. So very quickly, my email is here. It's kendra.jarvis@ncat.org. So if you learn about something today, and then you go back to your school or in your role and you try it out and you have questions, email me. Just make sure in the subject line that you put coaching by design so I'll know like where we met. If you learn something today and you go back and you try it and it goes amazingly well, or you modified it a little bit to fit your specific needs, I would love to hear about it. So any of those good news or questions would be amazing. So a little bit about me. I think this is my 22nd year in education, and I've done lots of things within that time. I started out as a middle grade ELA teacher, and then I moved into a secondary literacy coach, and then spent years after that as an instructional technologist. I've taught at the university level, and now I'm at NCAT. So I've done lots of different things in my career. And I have been fortunate to work with some amazing colleagues and learn a lot from them. So what you're going to see today is not just stuff that I've come up with, it's things that I've gleaned from all the amazing people that are my colleagues. So as a coach, one of the things that we struggle with sometimes is the visibility gap. Okay, so as we walk through this presentation, I want you to remember that our goal is to move from being perceived as evaluators, which if you're a coach, that is a common threat. You know, when you become a coach, even if you don't evaluate, sometimes people just assume that you're going to evaluate them and they don't want to work with you, or they're afraid that they're going to work with you. So think about moving from that evaluator role to partners through these small, high impact actions. So really today is all about micro moves that you can do that lead to macro change. We are looking for low lift ways to inspire growth in our teachers without adding much to our plates, because we already have really full plates. I know in my last role, I was serving 10 different schools. And so I wasn't at the same school every day. And that's a lot of teachers and students to serve. And some of you, I know my friends in Wake County, they're serving 20 something schools. And our ML coaches were serving 40 something schools. So we all have a lot on our plate, and we can't add more, but we can do some micro things, some micro strategies that are really going to impact our role and our teachers. So there's often that gap between teachers and coaches, and that creates that hesitation of, do I want to work with that person? Okay. Trust is built on quick wins, and these small victories are the foundation of any coaching relationship. So when we stay in our offices, we are seen as evaluators or just extra work. You know, I don't want to work with them because it's going to take away from my planning time. I just don't have the time to sit down with a coach. I don't want to go through a coaching cycle. I don't want to give up my classroom and have them come in and teach in my classroom. It's just a lot of extra work for me. Our shift is that we need a 15-minute solution. So visibility breeds credibility. So moving into the classroom, it changes that narrative from seeing the coach as just office staff or district office to more of a partner. So that's what we're going to look at today. And I've broken this up to 1-minute wins. What are some really quick things that you can do in 1 minute or less that's going to really start to impact your credibility and build that trust to things that are 5 to 10 minute wins, 10 to 15, and then 30 plus. So hopefully today, as we go through these ideas, you'll find a few that you say, oh, I can definitely do those. Okay. So very quick in the chat, I want you to rate yourself where you are on the visibility gap. Okay. So you're going to put the title that you feel is where you are currently. Okay. So the first one is the ghost. You feel stuck behind office doors. Teachers see you, mostly see you when there's a problem or a meeting. Okay. So that's the first one. The second one is the guest. You pop into classrooms, but sorry, I'm sitting outside. It's hard to see. You pop into classrooms, but it feels a bit formal or evaluative. You're visible, but you're not a real partner. Okay. So that's the guest. The neighbor is you are a frequent presence in the hallways and classrooms. Teachers are starting to see you as a low lift resource. Or the co-pilot. You have achieved the 15-minute solution. You're doing some things that are really impacting your teachers. You're viewed right now as a partner in the classroom rather than an extra work person. So in the chat, if you will put either the ghost, the guest, the neighbor, or the co-pilot. And Stacy and Jen, if you'll let me know what you're seeing.
We've got.
I think you're muted, Jen.
We've got a neighbor and we've got a waffle between a guest and a neighbor.
Good. So it's interesting as you continue to coach or lead in your, whether you're a coach or not, or lead, right? Some years you might feel like you're a ghost and you move into the guest. And then the next year you might feel like you're somewhere else because our experiences change, right? And then the people we work with change. I remember when I first started coaching, someone gave me two pieces of advice that were really, really helpful. The first one is that it takes about 3 years to build those trusting relationships where you're part of that community and you're not seen as that evaluator anymore. And then the other piece of advice that someone gave me was you have to define who you are as a coach, because whoever was there before you as a coach, unless you define who you are as a coach, they're going to assume you do the same things and you are the same thing. So if that previous coach was truly evaluative, then they may have negative feelings of you coming in. So you really have to share who you are and what you do. All right, so let's look at some 1-minute wins. So the first thing that I think is really fun and very easy to do is called the narrative flip voice memo. So when I was coaching, I sent a lot of emails, but if you're like me, especially now, my email box is filled up and it takes several days to get through those emails. Sometimes I don't see them, right? Your teachers probably are the same way. So if they get an email from you, it may be days later before they actually click on it and read it. So if you're sending them an email saying, hey, I came by today and I saw this and it's great, right? They don't get that win until they check that email, okay? One of the alternatives is to use a voice memo. So you can do this with an extension on Gmail. And I popped the video down here so that you can go back and you can use it. But it is a free Chrome extension called Vocal Gmail. And once you install it, You use a little microphone that's along the bottom tools of Gmail, and it will record a little voice note directly into the email, and that will send to teachers. The other way that you can do this, and some of you probably have access, if you have access to teachers' cell phone number, right? You can record a voice memo there and text it to them. And if that is probably the easiest way to get to teachers if you have access to their cell phone number. But you could use this to send a 45-second audio text highlighting a specific move that you see. And the benefit of this is it adds that human warmth that sometimes email lacks. Okay. And you could say something like, hey, so-and-so, I just saw the way you handled that transition. Your calm tone completely shifted the brain, right? Something very quick. So, and you can do this as you're stepping out of their classroom. And it's nice to do this immediately because then you don't forget about it. The second thing that you can do that takes literally 1 minute is you can do something called 60-second validation station. So these are little cards that I created. And you can print these, you can stick them in your pocket, your agenda, whatever you have with you as you go about your day. And when you see something amazing that a teacher does in the classroom, it's fill in the blank. You literally say, I saw you, blah, 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 today. Thanks for being awesome from your coach. Okay. And it's just very quick. I used to do this all the time, and teachers would save these. And I would go in later and I'd have like a Kendra wall. And kind of like when I was a teacher, I don't know if you did this as a teacher, but I had like a happy folder that I kept, and it had pictures and notes and drawings and things like that for my students. And so when I was having a tough day, I would pull that out, look at it. Same thing for teachers. This means a lot to them. And it reminds them of the good things that they do that maybe people don't see and they don't get the validation for very often. So I'm going to pause here for a minute. And if you look on your screen on the presentation, I've got an image of the notes. But then to the left of it, I've got like a little template placeholder. And if you click on this template, it should take you to Canva, where I've stored the notes, and you can add this template to your Canva access. And then you can go in and you can personalize it and make it your own. So you can go in and add maybe your school mascot. Like my daughter goes to TC Robertson in Asheville, or in Buncombe County, and hers is a ram. So maybe I go in where these little swirlies are and I add a little ram icon there. So you can personalize it, but then I've already done the work for you. So all you have to do is, once you personalize it, is you just print it, you cut them, they're perforated, you cut them apart, and you stick them in your pocket or whatever you've got, and then you're ready to go. All right, sorry, I'm gonna pause this. Well, hang on. There it goes. Okay, so let me pause here. Do you have any questions or any ideas or any feedback, things that you're thinking about so far? Jen or Stacey, is there anything in the chat?
There's not, but I was thinking about the voice memos, because I've sent emails and I've left comments in Canvas, and I've done those kinds of things, but I've never thought about adding my voice to it. And I think just that little nuance could make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's so simple, especially if you can do it from your phone, right? That is so much easier. I know it's still an email if you do it through this way, but it's your voice. And once they open the first one and they see what it is, then they're going to be more likely to open it again when it comes through because it's a good thing, right? It makes them feel good.
Yeah. And Emily says that she loves the validation station card.
Oh, good. Well, Emily, you can take that and personalize it so it fits your school community. All right. Okay. So this is one of my favorite things to do. So we're moving from 1-minute wins to the 5 to 10-minute wins. Okay. So anytime I can automate something, it's going to make my life so much easier, right? And I don't know how much automation you've done in your life, but my last couple years in coaching, I really started using this extension called Autocrat. It was amazing. It totally changed. It took me from feeling overwhelmed to really feeling accomplished. Like I was like, man, I'm really doing some good work. And Autocrat is free. And simply what it is you go ahead and set up a Google form, okay? And as you go into a classroom and maybe you're observing a teacher, right? Or you walk in and you just want to see what's going on. You can add in the Google form the teacher name, you can add the teacher's email, and whatever the win was. Okay, so that's how you set up your Google form. You would have 3 questions: teacher name, email, and win. And that's all you do. Okay. Then you complete some sort of Google Doc that is going to act as the email that they get. Okay. And it's kind of like mail merge. That's really what it is. So once you set this up and you're going to tell it that once the form is complete, it triggers the email. So it'll take the teacher name, the email address, and whatever that win was that you saw, and it will automatically, without you doing it, populate it in that Google Doc, or it could be a slide, right? And it will send it to the teacher immediately. So you don't have to send the email each time. You don't have to go in and fill the information out each time. You just have to fill out that Google form. So it's very, very simple. This video here will walk you through it. It's about 5 minutes long, but this is a teacher walking through how to use Autocrat to send certificates. But instead of certificates, you would just do like a Google Doc. Okay. So this is very, very simple. The more automation we have, the less time we're sitting at the computer, and it takes me forever to send teachers emails. If I've got 100 teachers at my school, at one of my schools, think how long that would take to send each of those teachers an email. With Autocrat, you just fill out the form and it does the rest itself. So again, this video will walk you through how to do that. And Autocrat is free in the Chrome store. All right, so let's pause for just a minute. These are some small wins that will really help to bring about massive shifts in your school culture and building that trust and credibility for you as a coach. This is something that we all do, I'm sure, is that hallway check-in. Sometimes we feel like that's just fluff, all right? However, as someone who's been in education for a long time, and I've been a teacher and I've been a coach, having someone come up to me and remember, hey, Kendra, I remembered last week that your daughter was in a play. How did it go? Right? That's huge. So adding to that is, hey, Kendra, I remembered last week your daughter was in a play. How was it? Let them answer and then say, okay, you remember we went in and we practiced skill for your classroom. How did that feel when you actually did that? Or what's going on today? What can I help with? Any of those things those quick 30, 60-second burst of connection is really going to be meaningful for your teachers. Another quick micro move is the bright spot. So this is just calling out that one specific positive move that you saw through a walkthrough, and make it non-evaluative. Okay. This is the last one, is something that I have found super valuable in my career, is you being that bridge. This is where you become that connective tissue by linking two teachers that are working on similar goals. Our schools sometimes are big and teachers don't know what's happening in each other's classrooms, but you do as the coach. And if you can connect two teachers that are working on similar goals, then they can help each other and support each other, and they can start building a trusting relationship together as well. So those are some 3 things that I think sometimes we forget that are really valuable to build that credibility as a coach. All right, so I'm going to pause here for a minute, and I would like for you to think about what we've talked about so far and choose one thing so far that you think you can add as that micro move to your coaching toolbox. And if you would, put it in the chat, and I'd love for you to share how you are thinking about using it. All right, Jen, do we have anything in the chat?
We do. So Emily said that the hallway check-in seems like it would work really well for her. So that would be an easy addition for her. I just reiterated how I think I can start using the audio message. I tend to want to thank people more than I have time to write focused, lengthy emails to thank them. And so I think this would be a quick change in routine that would have a big impact.
And I also think in the age of AI, where a lot of people are using AI to write emails, this feels more personable, right? It's human. And I think we need that.
Absolutely.
Great. All right. So we're going to shift into 15 to 20-minute wins. Okay. So we're still working on how can we build that community and how can we increase our visibility. Let me pause real quick. Let me go back to the hallway chat and just say one thing. I know sometimes we have a lot of work to do and you have to be in your office. However, if you can set a timer on your phone that notifies you maybe 2 minutes before class change to pop out in the hall every time you've got a class change, that is huge, because then you can start making those connections even on days when you're at the school but you've got a lot of work to do, because that is when teachers are going to see you. It's during the class change. All right. Okay, so here's a couple ideas that can take about 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, the first one is the 20-minute micro lab. And I used to do this years ago when I was coaching at Irwin Middle. We didn't have money for subs, which is, well, today we may not have money for subs, but there are no subs, right? Even when you have money for subs, it's hard to find really good subs or any sub these days. But I always believed that teachers learn best from one another. And so I created this in my school, and it was just I think teacher to teacher PD is what I called it. But really what it was is I was that peer bridge where I found two teachers that could help each other. And I would offer to go into one of their classes and cover their class for just 15 minutes. It was very short. And it was, during a time that the kids were working. I really didn't have to do much, but just monitor them, right? And that it allowed that teacher to go and visit a neighboring teacher to look at a skill that teacher felt that they were really good at. So they could watch that teacher do exit tickets, right? Or they could watch that teacher, how did they start their class? Or what are some classroom management tips that that teacher could show them that were really good? This was huge, though. It wasn't a huge commitment on my end. It was just 15 minutes, but it allowed that teacher to build community within his or her own school, see what was happening in another teacher's classroom. It was no stakes learning opportunity. I didn't have them do anything with it other than we talked about it just really quickly in the hallway later. And they were able to see that high impact strategy in real time. So this was really popular. And I'll show you another piece that you can add to this. But this was huge. And I only did this like once or twice a day when I was available. It wasn't all day. So I made sure that I chose the people that I felt like could really benefit from this. The other 15 to 20-minute wins is very simple. So this is writing a postcard to the students about how great the teacher is. So remember, the teacher has to have credibility in front of her students, right? And by doing this validates the teacher and what the teacher is doing in front of their everyday audience, which is the student. So this can be very quick. You can go in there and you can read it to the students. You can hand it to the student, ask the student to read it to the class. But this is very simple and easy to do. So this little icon down here is a template, and it should open up to Canva. And it should open up to, different postcards that you can print, and you can customize these. I really like this one. It's a student brag tag, and I didn't have time to customize this for you, but you could, and you could title this teacher brag tag, and then you can call it demonstrating the following whatever skills, awesome work, whatever, and then you can align this to your school or district goals. So whatever those goals are, you could put these here, and then it's just a little checkbox, right? So maybe your goal is high impact strategies. And so maybe you list those strategies there, and then you check those off. And then you leave that with the students or the teachers. Okay, so this would be really easy to do as well. And you may not like this one, but there are plenty to choose from that you can customize so that they fit your role and your school. And again, it's those small moves that really help you build credibility and community and trust with your teachers. All right, so this is another one that I found recently, and I really like this. I've done this for students in my classroom, but I think you can use this and do this for teachers as well. This is called the coaching placemat, and this is a one-place document, and I've got a template for you. You can place it in the teacher's lounge. You can place it in mailboxes. You can hand it out during PD. It's up to you. But the way that it's structured is one side is for QR codes that are quick links to strategy snacks. So these are very simple and very quick strategies that teachers can use. I would align these to whatever your district or school's goals are. So they can just scan it and they've got a tool for the day. Okay. It can even be AI tools that maybe they've been trained on and different things that you can build using those AI tools. On the other side, you can add a reflection box where maybe they've tried a strategy and then they do some sort of reflection with it. And then perhaps you could have them turn it in and you can give them CEUs for it. Okay, because it really is a type of PD. It's just structured in the way that they want it to be structured, right? The nice thing about this is it meets teachers kind of in those in-between moments. It's not, hey, let's sit down and spend an hour at PD or 20 minutes at PD. You can still have PD, but you can do this while you're doing your lunch duty or after school duty, or you can do this during planning. It just meets them in the time that they have available. So if you would, I'm going to ask you to click on this template here. And this is going to take you to Canva. And this is the template that I created for you. And then you can customize it. It's very simple. And I did it that way so that it would be easy for you to customize. Okay. So you can give it a snazzy name if you want to. Okay. Strategy snacks placemat, or I don't know, whatever you want. Here you're going to put the QR code so they can scan. All right. That's going to lead them to different videos or resources that are going to share some quick strategies that they can use. This is where they can write down what their goals are. What are some simple micro goals that they can set for themselves using these strategies? This is an area for notes, brain sparks or doodles related to what they've learned. Okay. This is the place where they can write, this is what I've tried, and this is how it worked. The bright spot is something good that happened that day using this strategy. Okay. Down here is where you can add a high impact strategy that aligns with goals. Instead of just QR codes, this could be like text based. And then this could be action steps. So after teachers look at the strategy snacks, they can jot down what is their tomorrow move. Okay. So those are just that's an idea of how I structured it. But all of this is editable and you can personalize it. So you can change any of these so that it fits your needs. So if you want to change this one to something else, you can certainly do that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pause there. Oh. Give you just a second or two to look at that. All right. So I would like for you to do a quick reflection. Okay. And I want you to add your ideas in the chat. This is where we can learn from each other. Because in PD, it's really important to learn from the person that's leading it, but it's more important to learn from each other, because I get to learn from you too. So if you were designing a coaching placemat for your staff lounge tomorrow, what is one strategy snack, the 2-minute tip or tool that you know your teachers are craving right now? Okay. I would like for you to think about that and then drop the name of the tool or the strategy and what it is in the chat so we can learn from each other. All right, Jen, things start coming in the chat. Will you share those with me? Thank you. A tip with the placemat, as you're adding those QR codes to it, I would try to keep, if it's a video or a resource, I would try to keep it as brief as possible to that, like that 2-minute time frame, because I think you're going to lose teachers if it's too long. So just be mindful of how much you're adding.
So I said in the chat that a lot of my work that colleagues and I are focused on right now is on slide design. And so that would probably be a snack, a strategy snack that I would like to leave to just get them thinking about maybe replacing lots of text on a slide with powerful images for a greater impact.
Yeah.
And Heather shared that hers would be a quick and easy Canva hack for teachers to use. They all love using it and they want to know how to do things easily.
That's perfect. That is perfect. All right. As you continue to kind of reflect and think, add those strategy snacks to our chat, because especially like if there's a link to the video that you might share, because someone else might grab that and actually use it with their teachers. Okay, so we're going to shift to, we've got a little more time on our hands, which some days we do as coaches and some days we don't. But some days we can spend 30 minutes working on something. So remember I told you about teachers learning from teachers and being able to do that micro lab where you cover someone's class for 15, 20 minutes while they go see another teacher. This is the other piece that you could add to that. So when I was coaching at Irwin Middle, we had a lot of new teachers one year, and we had a lot of new teachers, and then we had a group of veteran teachers who really didn't have any in between. So we had a lot of people that were kind of stuck in their ways, but also had a lot of good strengths, right? Because they've been teaching for a long time. And then we had a lot of new teachers who really They were new to the job, new to the role. They were very enthusiastic, but they lacked that experience. So what I did was I wanted them to be able to learn from each other, but I wanted it to be positive, right? Because sometimes that can go the other way. So I created this very simple bulletin board in the teaching lounge, and it was 3 columns, and it was titled "My Teaching Strength." And so it's almost like a crowdsourced coaching board. So in one column, everybody would add what they feel like their teaching strength is. Okay. And you can make this cutesy. You can find like little post-it notes that are superhero, right? And they can each write it on there, put their strength and their name, right? So everyone does that. And you might want to do that when everyone's together, like at a staff meeting or something like that. Okay. Then in the middle column, this is where people can go in and they can say, I want support with, and put what they would like to go see. Okay. So maybe it's classroom management, or maybe it's high impact strategy, or maybe it's using a certain tool. Okay. Not everyone has to add that there. Okay. It's just the people that feel like they want to see someone do something and learn from them. Okay. Then the last column is where they can sign up. All right. So maybe Vicky says, hey, I am really good at questioning. Okay. And then Sarah, she needs support with questioning in her classroom. So as the coach, you can connect those two teachers and you can say, hey, Sarah, Vicky shares that is her strength. You want support on that. So I'm going to come into your class for 15 minutes and cover your class while you go and watch Vicky do the questioning strategies. So this worked really, really well. I added a little reflection piece to this and ended up, as long as they did the reflection piece and turned it in, which was the Google form, I ended up giving them CEU credits for this. This was by far the most popular PD I'd ever done. And it was great because they were able to learn from one another. Everyone felt good about it because we started with their strengths, and it built community within the school. So that is where you can add that micro lab to this 30-minute win and create some really systematic change in your school. All right, so this is what I would like you to do in the chat. I would like for you to type one teacher strength that you see in your building, and then one I want support with area that is currently a hot topic in your building. So you can structure it like here's a strength and then here's a need. So what is one strength, teacher strength, that's currently in your building? And then what is one need that is currently in your building? So take just a minute and add that to the chat. Give you just a few more seconds. All right. So we're going to talk about, I think, two more things that are 30-minute wins. So again, these are things that you can do when you have extra time. Okay. Um, One of the things that was really helpful to some of my teachers is having me come in and map participation in the room. Um, Sometimes, you know, when you're teaching, sometimes you don't pay attention to how many times you call on someone or how many times someone answers or how many connections are made within the classroom. You're too busy. I mean, think about when you teach, you've got all of these, you're trying to manage everything, right? So those are some things that sometimes you don't pay attention to. So it's nice to have that extra person come in and kind of do an equity audit. And this is just who's talking, who's being called on. It's just visual data that as a coach, you can give the teacher of student engagement in their classroom. A really simple way to do this is one, get the teacher to print off their seating chart, okay? And you don't have to be there the entire class. You can do this in 30 minutes and then leave. And just use a system like this. So if a student contributes verbally, the tally mark next to that student, okay? If a teacher calls on a student, put a little arrow next to the student. If the student has some sort of peer-to-peer interaction, circle, okay? By the end of the 30 minutes, you're going to see patterns jump off the page. And this is not, it's I gotcha to the teacher, right? You're doing too much talking. It's just data that you give the teacher. You let them ask you the questions, right? You can just say, here, I just did a very quick audit of teacher talk versus student talk, and this is what happened today. Let me know if you want to talk about it, okay? And just leave that door open and let the teacher look at the data. And then later on, if you don't hear from them, you might follow up very quickly in a hallway conversation and say, hey, how's it going in your classroom? You know, is the back row, are they contributing more to the classroom? Are you having kids talk to each other more? And then see what they say. And that might be an opportunity to jump in and do some modeling or share some strategies. So this is really helpful. I did this for a new teacher because he just said the same kids were talking in the classroom and he would write, but it was because he was calling on the same kids over and over again, right? So we talked about some different things that he could do to get everyone to contribute. All right, I think this is the last one. The last thing that I'm going to share is the monthly Spark calendar. So I started creating these, I think the last year I was coaching, and my teachers loved this. Because I worked with 10 different schools, I couldn't be in like one building every single day. But I knew I knew what that building's goals were, and I knew what the district's goals were. And so every month I created a calendar using Canva, and each day was some sort of tip, template, article, or a video. And they aligned to a theme, right, or a goal. This is a simple way that you can share this with teachers and continue coaching even when you're not there. So let me see if I can click on this and show you what it looks like. And mine is really fancy because I got into it and I really enjoyed like making them fun. But you could use this because I've got a template for you. You could use this template, right, and just put a few images on here and then just change those images each month. So it would be like 4 clicks, right? But each day that you see, teachers can click on it and it leads to a tip, a template, or a resource. And they're all aligned to those goals. The other thing that I did that I thought was fun because I really like to gamify things is I hid little Easter eggs in here. So things that are clickable that are not very obvious that they're clickable. Some teachers would find them, some teachers wouldn't. But this was it kind of like went viral. People from all over, they still email me from all over the world asking for these. This was featured on Matt Miller's Ditch That Textbook blog. So, but I just really enjoy reading these. And I really wanted a way that, because I was in so many schools and I couldn't be there every day, I wanted a easy way that I could continue coaching even when I wasn't there. So back on the presentation, if you click here, it's going to give you the calendar as a template, and then you can edit it and personalize it. If once a month it's too much for you, do once a quarter, right? Or if you don't want to, if you can't do a tip every day, do every other day. Do Monday through Friday. I mean, make it work for you, but it's just an easy, low way to continue coaching when you are not there. All right, Jen, are there any questions or anything in the chat that I need to respond to?
There's excitement.
Oh,
Let's see. Heather shared when she was responding to the strengths and support, she said a teaching strength that she sees right now is the use of Google Forms. Her teachers are just pros with that, but a support request would be new ideas for end of year review activities. Absolutely. And then also there is a lot of love for your calendars. I'm one of the calendar fangirls. So.
It's kind of like scrapbooking. I never got into scrapbooking, but for some reason, like I really got into this. Well, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. All right. So this is just what I want you to remember is micro moves create macro change. So you don't have to do something huge. You don't have to do all of these. You can choose one 1-minute strategy, one 5-minute strategy, and then one 30-minute strategy, or you can just choose one. It's whatever you want to start with. But what I would like for you to do is to think about what we talked about today. And I want you to choose tomorrow's win commitment. What are you going to start with? Okay. So think about all the strategies that we touched on today. And there's one that will fit whatever your time commitment is, but add it in the chat. What is your commitment for tomorrow? What is your win?
So Kendra and Jen, while I was listening to all your amazing tips and everything, you know, my mind naturally went to AI. So I used your words, Kendra, and devised a GPT for your strategy snacks. So yeah, and I don't know, I did it really fast and it's not tested, of course. So I do need to go and, click on it and all that sort of thing. But it will generate random strategy snacks if you're just, needing to snack and you're looking in your cupboard and trying to figure out what's there. Or it could solve a problem for you. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so we'll see if it works out, but I'd be glad. I'll share the document with you so you can kind of proof it and make sure that I captured you correctly.
Okay, thank you, Stacey. I love your brain. I love your brain. All right, so add those tomorrow's wins. Do we have any of them in the chat?
We do. I'm going to be using the equity audit. That's going to be perfect. I work with student teachers, and that is absolutely a perfect activity to do with student teachers. They can do it with their cooperating teacher, in fact. We also, Emily is going to be doing, she said she will absolutely be doing the hallway check-ins. And Heather also said that she is going to be doing the hallway check-in. It's just perfect for quick feedback and to develop a support plan in the moment.
Perfect. All right. thank you all for spending time with me today. I hope this was helpful. You've got some templates to start with, and pick one and go forth and coach because you got it.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Kendra. I know I have 2 pages of notes to myself based on everything that you shared, and I'll be referring back to all of your templates as well. So I really appreciate it. Katie said that her partner and she have already implemented some of these strategies, but this has inspired them on how they might adapt and change for next year. And she's really appreciative of the templates as a jumping off point too. You will see that I have added the feedback link in the chat, and I can do that again, but please do give us feedback for today's coaching webinar. That helps us with our programming, and that will also be shared with Kendra because I know that continuous growth is important to her as well. We do have one coaching webinar left this school year. And so I've also added the registration link for that. That will be on Tuesday, June 2nd at 4 o'clock. And that is called the Strategy Swap for Summer Steps. And so that is to really reflect on various coaching strategies that have been shared across the year, and also kind of organize them in a way where we can do some summer prep because it's really important to go into a school year feeling like you've got a solid coaching plan and strategies just ready to go. So I hope you'll join us for that. Again, Kendra, thank you for sharing your expertise with us. It is always great to learn with you.
Can I forgot really quickly, but can I add NCAT's website there? Okay.
Please do.
Okay. So I added NCAT's website so you can click on it. We are a free residential program for North Carolina teachers. We've got 2 locations, one in Cullowhee, one in Ocracoke Island, and offer seminars. It is free for teachers to come and stay with us. We have chefs make your meals. Anyway, it's amazing. We also offer free online courses. So take a few moments and go to ncat.org, click on programs, and check out the upcoming sessions. Thank you.
They have a fantastic session for coaching. I attended it this year and highly, highly recommend it. I walked away with some new great books and great ideas and great coaching partners and friends across the state. All right, thanks everyone. I'm going to stop recording. I hope you have a wonderful evening.